This Sunday is the 21st Sunday in Ordinary Time, Year B. The first reading this Sunday is from the book of Joshua. If you missed watching the fourth Sunday of Ordinary Time this year, you might enjoy going back and checking it out. A brief introduction to Moses. After leading the Israelites out of Egypt, Moses never made it into the Promised Land. The last chapter of Deuteronomy, the very last chapter of the Torah, describes Moses standing with God at the top of Mount Nebo in modern-day Jordan, looking towards the Promised Land 40 years after leaving Egypt. God says, "I have let you see it with your eyes, but you shall not cross over there." And then Moses dies. The book of Joshua is the next book in the Bible, the first of that part known as the historical books. Joshua and Moses were mates. Joshua was an assistant and a military leader for Moses. For example, at chapter 24 of Exodus, we hear God say to Moses, "Come to me on the mountain, and I will give you tablets of stone with the law and the commandment." The next line is, "So Moses set out with his assistant, Joshua." It was Joshua who finally led the Israelites into the Promised Land. And in this Sunday's first reading, we hear about the last thing that Joshua did before he died. He gathered all of the tribes of Israel together at Shechem, an important city in the Promised Land, south of the Sea of Galilee, and asked the people for their dedication to God. And they gave it. The second reading this Sunday is the last of 7 in a row from the letter of St. Paul to the Ephesians. It's intended to emphasize the importance of men and women dedicating themselves to one another in marriage. But the language doesn't come across well these days. Although men are called upon to be sacrificial of themselves and loving towards their wives, women are called upon to submit to their husbands. It's important to understand, as Pope Francis said in his book, The Joy of Love, in marriage, submission takes on a special meaning. It's a freely chosen, mutual belonging, marked by fidelity, respect, and care. The Gospel this Sunday is the last of 5 in a row from chapter 6 of John. This Sunday, the Bread of Life discourse has just concluded, and Jesus is aware that some of his followers are troubled by what he has said. Jesus asks his 12 disciples, "What about you? Do you want to go away too?" All 3 readings this week are about the same thing: dedication.